Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Jaime Cerreta. On this podcast, we celebrate everything local in Arizona. If you are looking to add some personality to your golf game, look no further than our friend Jane Spicer with Daphne's Headcovers. This business, 48 years old here in the Valley. Jane, the math doesn't math, so congratulations to you on many levels. You've created such a beautiful concept. And for the folks who are watching right now, they're looking at your head covers. These are not normal golf head covers. Tell me what you've created here.
Well, Daphne's Headcovers creates animal golf club covers. It's a company I started when I was 16, and we do a variety of animals and all other things, pirates, dragons, all kinds of different corporate logos. But we want to do something that adds character to your golf bag.
You grew up here in Arizona.
I did.
And you were born where?
St. Joe's.
St. Joe's Hospital. Me too.
Awesome.
Good things come out of St. Joe's, Jane.
That's right.
And what was it about the head cover for you? Because you started this business at 16 years old.
Yes. Well, it wasn't specifically head covers. I started my first company when I was 10. I asked my mom, Daphne, our company's namesake, for sailboat. And she said, think of a business, earn it yourself.
Oh.
Yeah.
And where were you going to take the sailboat here in Arizona?
Well, Lake Pleasant.
Yes.
Lake Pleasant was kind of two puddles and an upper and a lower lake. But my mom was English. We grew up sailing. So I started making stuffed toys. She taught me. I'd make enough to fill a garbage bag that I'd walk up and down the street on Highland Avenue and sell. And then when I sold enough and emptied the garbage bag, I'd sell some more. And I bought an 11-foot sailboat.
Oh, wow.
So from there, the toys grew into puppets, and I'd sell them at arts and craft shows. And I didn't drive, so my mom would take me, and I'd load the sailboat up. I'd take the mast and the boom out, fill it with the puppets, and then she'd park the sailboat and me at my spot, and then I could sell all day.
So that was your booth.
That was my booth. Yeah.
So you literally bought a sailboat at 10 years old.
Yeah.
How much was that? Do you remember?
It was $600 then, which would be about $3,000 or $4,000 now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So entrepreneur since pretty much the womb, it sounds.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then mom very much was an encourager of that kind of lifestyle.
Oh, absolutely. Everything she'd just say, go on, whatever I was doing, go on. And so when a customer suggested that we make golf club covers out of the puppets, we thought about it for a little bit, and she bribed me and said, I tell you what, why don't you make enough of these and sell enough, and I'll buy you a car, because I was almost 16 and I wanted a car. And so I said, well, okay. So I turned some of the puppets into head covers, and I also read, I didn't golf then, Jamie, so I read that a birdie, a bogey, and an eagle were something to do with golf. So I made those. I knew a bogey was bad, and I didn't know what they meant.
Yeah.
And so I made some head covers, and then I went to the Goodwill and bought a hat box, a big patent leather hat box, and filled samples in it, made enough to just fit that box, because I thought golf was fancy, so I should have a fancy thing. And then I talked my way into the Arizona Biltmore Golf Shop to the director of golf and made my first sale.
So at 16 years old, you busted in.
I did. Yes, I didn't have an appointment.
Tell me how that went. With, you're armed with your Goodwill case full of your homemade head covers.
Yeah. Well, I walked in, and there were photos on the wall, and the top one said Director of Golf, Pete Robeloth. So I figured he was the big guy. So I walked in and just said, hi, I'm here to see Pete. And they said, well, okay. Later on, they said they thought I was somebody's kid because I was so familiar. Oh. And I walked right in, walked into his office, took my head covers out, didn't introduce myself, set my head covers all over his desk, and gave him a sales pitch. And I think he's a beautiful man, and we're still friends. But I think he was in shock, because who walks into your office, dumps all their product on the desk, and starts talking?
Someone who is very bold, an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I didn't know better, which actually served me.
Yeah, at 16. So at 10 years old, the sailboat was the motivator.
Yes.
At 16-year-old, it was a VW Bug.
That's right. I got a bright red VW Bug. Absolutely.
So 48 years later, what's the motivator still?
Oh, well, first of all, it's fun. It's fun. And our core value is we must do good while we're doing well. So at first it was things, as you said, it was getting the sailboat, it was getting the car. Then I had a dollar amount that I wanted to get, and then I got that. Now that I can do something that makes people smile, and we do a lot of charitable work at Daphne's. So I travel the world, building wells in Africa and meeting kids that I provided scholarships to, that I could do that all through what was a 16-year-old fundraiser. I mean, that gets me up every day. It's like, what else can I do? Who else can I meet? Who can we impact?
And that's such a dream come true.
Yeah.
We, of course, know a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this. So at 16 years old, now you've got the deal at the Biltmore.
Yeah.
What did you do for manufacturing? Was the first order something you were sewing at home? When did you move into your first kind of manufacturing space?
Well, at first I was just cutting, sewing, designing, delivering, collecting, everything. I was doing all that. And then we went to Catholic social services, and they had some sewers. So we just hired individual people to come. Now, I was in my house, so they couldn't come and sew. So I'd cut a piece, like 30 koalas, all the pieces. So they'd essentially get a box that was a recipe for head covers with all the parts. And we'd test them to see if they could sew. Then they would go home and sew. So instead of buying a building, I bought sewing machines, and we'd set them up in their homes.
At home office.
At home, yeah. And
See,
so
you're always ahead of your time.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I hadn't thought about it. Yeah.
Just like sending the computer home with people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just sent sewing machines home.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So when was it that you realized I have a full-fledged business? This is really happening. This is what I'm going to continue to follow.
It wasn't until after university. So I went on and basically just did the head covers when I needed beer money.
Because you were at NAU, right?
I was at NAU, yeah. And then I got out of school, and for a very brief point of time, I had a real job. And I went to work one day, and it was Monday, and it was a pretty cool place. And so I said, "Hi, everybody. How are you doing?" My normal excited self. And somebody said, "Well, I'm fine for a Monday."
Oh.
And I said, "I don't get it. We get to work at this super cool place. We've got 5 days to make things happen. This is really great." And Jamie, everybody in the break room looked at me like I was nuts.
Oh.
Like there was something really wrong with me. They were all, I don't know why they were there. So at lunch, I called my mom and I said, "I don't fit in here. These people don't want to work. This is a super cool place." So I went home. I resigned. I went home. I sold my car and I bought a cargo van.
Was that the VW Bug?
Yeah. And then I went on the road for 6 years.
Oh my gosh.
Selling the puppets at large arts and craft shows like the Tempe Mill Avenue show, up in San Francisco and in Aspen, Colorado. So I would sell on the weekends, and that's where I'd get the cash. And on the way home, when I could, I'd clean up, and then I'd stop in golf shops and get accounts for head covers.
Oh, so you were doing puppets and head covers.
And head covers, because there wasn't enough head cover business.
Right.
And the puppets I could make cash on the weekends selling. So I did that for 6 years. And about that point, when I could come off the road, I realized that I had a business. But it wasn't until then. I was just scraping, going, okay, how do I get this going?
Yeah.
What do I do? So each day was just, how do I achieve the next small goal?
Right. Scrappy.
Yeah, very.
And then were you staying in hotels, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I have stayed in all the worst Motel 6s up and down the coast. Absolutely, yeah.
That is a badge of honor, Jane.
It is.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah, I even had a stick that fit in the windows because they were so scary. So the windows, for the most part, were about the same size. That was my security system. And I'd stick in the window because I was so afraid somebody would break in.
Yeah.
So I carried that with me. That was my extensive security, and luckily I'm a good sleeper because you'd hear all kinds of things there, and it was pretty darn scary, but it's what I could afford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you did the road circuit, you did the craft festivals, and still visiting some of the golf shops. When did you come back home and create your first storefront or manufacturing place?
Well, manufacturing started really slowly. We just kept on getting more sewers.
Oh, okay.
So then I would deliver. Instead of one sewer getting a box with 30 head covers in, I'd use the cargo van. We'd cut all week, and then I'd go around to all the houses and deliver and pick up.
Were you cutting fabric at home?
Uh-huh.
How many different designs do you think you had at that point?
Oh, then maybe 10.
Okay.
So yeah, we were cutting at home, and just my mom and me just doing everything. Yeah.
What a great source of income for those sewers, though, because they get to stay at home too.
Yeah.
They get to be creative.
Yeah.
They get attention to detail, follow a pattern.
Absolutely. Well, my mom was an immigrant. Both my parents were. My mom from England, and she was huge on them staying home with their kids.
Yeah.
And she was passionate about them not taking any government subsidies. She said, don't give immigrants bad names. So stay home, raise your kids, and we'll pay you enough. This is how you do it. So she'd set down formulas on how to do it. Big advocate for them to do well and raise their kids well.
Oh. What was your mom's background?
Well, she was
work-wise?
amazing. She had 2 degrees, so she came from a very affluent family in England, and she left the country. Well, her fiance had been killed, and she was bereft. And while she was bereft, she said yes to 2 other marriage proposals, and realized that was probably a bad idea, and societally it wasn't going to work. Her family was fairly well known.
Uh-huh.
So she applied for 2 jobs. One was in South Africa and one was in Scottsdale, Arizona. She had 2 degrees, one as a dietitian and one in institutional management, which was, I guess, would be lodging, restaurant, and tourism now.
Mm-hmm.
And she got the job in Scottsdale. And
Which was doing what?
It was a hiring farce for immigrants, but she was supposed to come and run a section of a resort.
Oh.
And when she got here, they were all in menial positions, but they wanted an exotic resort. It was the Casablanca Inn, which is out by what's now the Phoenician.
Oh.
And so she figured it was easier than creating a scandal, letting people know that she said yes to 2 proposals. So she said to them, I'm following my career. I'll be back in 6 months or so.
Oh, my God. And never returned.
And never returned.
I like that she likes options.
Yeah.
Yes and yes.
Yes and
I mean,
yes.
a lot of times life opens up when you say yes. Yes
That's
and
right.
Yes to
So
these
she said
degrees.
yes to both.
She sounds like a cool lady.
She was wonderful. Yeah, she was amazing.
And very smart too,
Yes,
obviously, to raise
very
a smart
smart.
young woman as
Yeah,
well.
thank you.
And so obviously she had a huge impact because at 16 years old, you called it Daphne's Headcovers, right?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't the bank wouldn't take me seriously. So, the first time I went to my bank, I rode my 10-speed there. It was on Central and Camelback. I think it was Valley Bank. It's next to a Dairy Queen that's still there. I think it's a chiropractor's office now. I'm not sure.
I know where that DQ is.
Yeah, exactly.
Stinkweeds and everything.
Absolutely.
Francesca's. Yeah.
So I rode my bike there, and I remember I parked it behind the dumpster so it didn't get stolen. And stood outside until I wasn't sweaty anymore, so I looked businesslike. And I went in and I said, I need to get privileges to do MasterCard and Visa.
Mm-hmm.
And the banker just wouldn't hear me, and then gave me a big credit application to fill out.
Yeah.
And so I put that back on my bike and I left and I filled it out and I came back and he said, well, it doesn't foot. And I said, well, what do feet have to do with this? What are you talking about? He goes, you haven't filled one of these out. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. He goes, well, it needs to foot. And I said, what does that mean? He said, everything needs to add up. I said, well, why didn't you say that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what footing means. Why didn't you? So none of them would take me seriously. I couldn't get anything. So then my mom put her name on everything. And really and truly, I mean, the best parts of Daphne are because of her. So I was doing all this, but none of it would have happened without her guidance, her hard work. Yeah. So her name 100% should be on here. And the foundation that we built wouldn't have happened without her. Yeah.
And we have to tell people you went from a 10-year-old, a 16-year-old with the business to you're internationally known.
Yes.
Now you're a global business. When I got to go visit your warehouse for Local Love, I mean, hundreds of different head covers, hundreds of designs, beautiful things, big names come out and look for your products.
Yeah.
So what does that feel like now?
It just feels great. I still have pinch me days where I think, oh my gosh, this is my building. This is what I've done. These are the famous golfers that are coming to me and saying, can I please carry your head covers, or sending me thank you notes, telling me what it's meant in their family. Oh. So I feel so lucky, who has a career this long, who still loves what they do. Yeah. I'm super fortunate. There've been super hard days, of course, but I've always felt, Jamie, when the really hard days came, it was the universe asking me, how bad do you want this, Jane? How bad do you want it? And so far, over 48 years, my answer has always been, I really want it. Yeah. I really want it.
And like you said before, and because I know you love that this business also serves as a conduit to pour into our community and pour into people globally and to give back so much. So that's really a big pillar of what you do. Tell me about some of your outreach that you do.
We do a variety of things. There's many things that I'm proud of. We provide scholarships through the First Tee of Phoenix to kids that are going on to college. They don't necessarily have to play golf, but these kids learn their core values through the First Tee of Phoenix.
And core values meaning?
Integrity, honesty. You'll know a First Tee kid when you go on the golf course. They'll walk up, the the boys will take their hat off and shake your hand. The girls will look you straight in the eye. They stand up straight. They talk to you. They're confident. They're polite. So I'm just this month, we'll start interviewing the next scholarship recipients. And I love that. The kids, their stories, where they want to go, and that we get to be a part of that. Yeah. So that's something that we do annually at Daphne's Headcovers. Some global things we do is we've been building wells in Zambia. Girls and women walk for water. And so that means they can't go to school and they can't work. And the village is usually sick because the water it's a dirt hole.
Yeah.
And so once I heard about this, I thought that can't be. I've got to be a part of it. Through Golf for Africa. Oh, wow. So Betsy King, the LPGA Hall of Famer, who lives here in the Valley, started this organization, and she works with World Vision in Zambia. So once I heard about it, I thought we've got to do something. That these women and girls don't have the opportunity to go to school ever and can never work ever, and the village is going to remain sick forever. It's not okay. We're all citizens of this planet, and we have to help where we can. So far, we've built 2 wells and a house, and I'm working on a mechanized well that we should complete. Probably the fundraising should be completed shortly, and that will feed an entire village, a school, and a medical center, again in Zambia.
Incredible. We think of water and then we think of our beautiful golf courses.
Right.
And how much water we utilize. And it's such a beautiful marriage that the golf community is helping people find that resource and get that resource and make it such an easier. It's something we need for life. I mean,
absolutely. Water. Yeah. And clean water. These kids are sick all the time. Imagine going to school where you always had an upset stomach. They can't focus, and the women, you're raising kids. And imagine if everybody has an upset stomach all the time. If you've been on a vacation somewhere and you've gotten E. coli, imagine if that's your daily existence.
Yeah. It's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Is it?
Yeah.
You're constantly being pulled back by a physical ailment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. When we saw you at the Open, you had a group of young ladies with you. Who were they?
Oh, those are Girls Golf of Phoenix. So that's another great organization that we have here. It's through the LPGA. It's run by Corey Matheson, who's just a dynamic woman and really part of Daphne's family. That also, Girls Golf of Phoenix teaches core values through golf from girls as little as 3 up through high school. And they have golf tournaments where the young girls play a whole tournament, which is 1 hole, through just going on to teach golf. Some of them play on the tour. It's really, really neat. I think there's 300 girls in it right now.
Wow.
And again, they're learning empathy and integrity, all kinds of core values through the game of golf, just to make society better and to help little girls and women lift each other up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so this isn't part of a schooling or anything. It's an extracurricular group that you can be part of.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you look up girls golf just online and see the things that they're doing, if you've got a little girl that wants to play golf, this is the place to go. Yeah.
And then you can have a head cover, a really cute head cover too. Because let's talk about the head covers real quick.
Right. Yeah.
Because, obviously everyone knows about the Tiger head cover. Tell me let's start over here at Tiger.
Well, the Tiger has been on Tiger Woods' bag his entire career.
Wow.
So we've been super fortunate to be on this wonderful journey with Tiger through all his wins. And now his son, Charlie, who's a remarkable golfer too, also chose to carry the Tiger. And on the back of Tigers, you'll see the embroidery from his mom, who just recently passed. In Thai, it says "Love from Mom," because Miss Woods couldn't always go to all the tournaments, but she wanted him to know that she was there. So she'd call me, and then I'd send her the head covers, and she'd embroider them on there. So he always knew that she was with him. And now Charlie has the same thing, but his say "Love from Grandma."
No.
Yeah.
So Tiger Woods' mom would call you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that.
It's great.
Just so casual. Yep. No,
yeah, it was great. I have a funny story behind that.
Yes, please.
So early on, I hired anybody that I could hire.
Of course.
If you had a pulse and showed up, I was so grateful. And so I had a woman working for me who, very hard worker. I hadn't trained her with any phone polish at all. And we were selling like crazy. And I hear her say with a lot of attitude one day, "I don't care if her name is Mrs. Woods. we don't have any tigers, and she can't have any.
Oh, no.
God, I still get chills thinking about it. It's like, oh,
what is happening right now?
no. And so our building at that point was a warehouse in the back and then a house in the front. Now the house was the office. And the phone was on the wall with the stretchy cord.
Oh, yeah.
So I ran up and I grabbed the phone cord, Jamie, and I pulled it out of her hand. I was like, wait. And the phone hit the ground, bonk, 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 bonk. And I was like, hold, please. I pick up the phone. It's like, hi. She can't have tigers. Ms. Woods, hi. Yeah, I can. And because it was somebody calling on behalf of her, and Ms. Woods was right there.
Oh.
You can have tigers. We didn't have any at the time.
Of course not.
So quickly made some.
Mm-hmm.
And still to this day, I keep 6 stored, locked in a closet in my office so that never, ever would happen again.
Tiger always has his tiger.
Always.
head.
So anytime she called me, I was like, this is what I've got. They're always here, no matter how many times we've sold them or been sold out. I just took one lesson.
Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, to have his attention and his mom's attention and to have it be such a meaningful mother-son moment for them too. It's pretty cool,
it was really neat. And the mother-son bond and them having it wouldn't have happened without the mother-daughter bond that my mom and I had. So there's a lot of ties that we're both all close families, really care about families. So there's a lot of really special things in the background there that just mean the world to us.
Let's talk more about these head covers over here because I want to show them off. Oh, the kitty is front and center over here.
Yeah, so these are part of our new design. We introduced them at the PGA Merchandise Show in Orlando, where we put all our new items out. Everything we do at Daphne's is based on customer requests. So we listen all year, and then we take a full list, and then we see what we can design. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't.
That fish.
The fish is awesome, and it fits on the bag like this. So the tail will be coming out, the bass fish. The beagle and the cavapoo were really, really requested. There's so many dogs that have a poo in it, a cavapoo, so isn't that sweet?
He is so cute.
And and then we
Adorable.
have, what else do we have? Yeah, so but we introduced 6 different new designs this year, and I think we have 108 on our line this year.
Total?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and they change every year. We rotate new in and rotate things out and update and change, all based on what customers request.
What have some famous people requested?
Well, of course, tiger. We've had, let's think, Tony La Russa had a cardinal, and so Justin Leonard, he used to fly with his yellow lab Sunday, so he had a yellow lab. We just did something for Sahith Thagala. He has he's on tour, and he has a lovely mutt named Ivy, and she's got great brown ears that cock up, so they're never up or down, and one blue eye. So we get pictures, which is so much fun. So you get these super famous people that are just sending pictures of
their dog
all over. Paulina Gretzky, we did her what was it, a Frenchie? So just many across the way. We did head covers for both President Bush's, and they'd reach out. They wanted red, white, and blue eagles. So you just never know who's going to call or what they want. And for me, I always want to know why.
Yeah.
Obviously a red, white, and blue eagle for president.
You kind of get it.
Makes sense. But, why do you want a dog with one blue eye and crazy ears?
Yeah.
So that's what's fun when you get to talk to the people and hear the love in their voice about whatever it is.
Yeah. So are you guys the top dog in the game?
We are. Yes, we are.
How cool is that?
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, from being a non-existent product to owning the category globally. It's amazing.
Because we will find your head covers where?
All over the world. So we're in over 75 countries. So, as always, if you go into your favorite golf shop, ask for Daphne's. We're in Mom and Pop's. We're the best-selling head cover at Dick's Sporting Goods. We're at the finest resorts. We're in the top 100 golf shops globally and locally. So we're everywhere. And if we aren't somewhere, please ask the golf pro for Daphne's, and we'll make sure we get them in there.
Yeah, they've likely heard of you. They'll know where to find you.
They know where to find us. That's right. Yeah.
And of course, there's an Biltmore carries you.
They still do. So from when I was 16 to now, they're still in there. Is that awesome?
Oh my gosh.
And Pete, my first customer, who was so kind and didn't throw me out, We've remained friends. He mentored me over the years, and he was the one who made me start playing golf.
So tell me about that. So how old were you when you started playing? Because you were not playing before.
No, I wasn't playing. I was probably 19 or 20, and he said, you need to play golf. I said, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I'm in university. I've got this business. And he was really smart. So he brought in the most attractive golf pro they had.
All of a sudden your schedule cleared.
It cleared, yeah. This charming guy, and he was like, I'd like to teach you golf. Like, okay.
Whatever you want.
That's
sounds
great.
When?
And then he went to the Lost and Found, and he got a set of clubs just from all the Lost and Found and put them together.
Wow.
And so Pete Robloth, who was my first customer, said there's two things are going to happen. You're going to play golf. You're going to have a golf lesson every Wednesday, and then you're going to play 9 holes with these 3 older women. They lost their fourth, and you're going to be their fourth in their foursome, and they're going to talk to you, and they're going to teach you. And they were amazing. One of them always carried a flask. Very
and you
well
say
dressed.
older, but you were 20. So were they?
I was 20.
40?
They were retired.
Okay. So
yeah, they were retired.
Maybe a little.
One of them, Mrs. Pearlstein, she had onset of Parkinson's, so she'd stand over her club and her head would shake, and she hit everything in the fairway, and was amazing.
Wow.
And these women would take me. There was an executive course at the Royal Palms then, and on Camelback, and we'd either play 9 holes at the Biltmore or at the Royal Palms, and they just taught me the ins and out of golf
And the flask.
The flask, yeah.
Flask etiquette.
Absolutely,
What is flask etiquette on the course?
Well, you're subtle, and and you might want to support the course, so you might buy a drink that you poured a bit of the flask into.
I see.
And you also refer to it as medicine.
Okay.
I've got to have a little bit of my medicine. So
play properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd hit bad shots, and every now and then they'd say, you might need some of my medicine.
Yeah.
So that's how I started playing golf.
I mean, Pete, what a great guy.
He's a wonderful man. Absolutely. Yeah.
Is he still over there?
No, he's not at the Biltmore any longer. He's gone on and developed golf courses all over the world, doing amazing things. We're still in touch. Just one of those people that's so strong, Jamie, but is never loud or boasting, just peacefully, gently guiding people along the way. Just a beautiful human being, an example of really what a leader should be. Wow. Pure grace, decorum, and helping and lifting people up.
Yeah. Well, you had that opportunity to go many ways.
Yeah.
When this young girl busted into his office that day.
Yeah, he did. And he was nice. He saw something.
Yeah.
And, I'm so grateful to him.
We talked about when there's a challenge, you say the universe is asking you, how badly do you want it? Has there been a day when you thought, this might be where I have to make a hard decision about my business? Has there been a challenge that really threw you for a loop?
Yeah. After the recession, we'd gotten through the recession because I'd reached out to everybody in Europe and said nobody here was buying. And that was the first time that had ever happened to Daphne's. Our phones just rang. And I reached out to everybody in Europe and said, hey, we have stock. And they were so thrilled because I couldn't keep up with the demand, so I couldn't sell to them. So we started selling. And then we were selling and we were busy. But as I walked around the office, we didn't have inventory. I couldn't figure out what was going on, even though I was placing orders. I could hear my staff getting calls that were rough, like collection agency calls. I was like, what is going on? And it turned out my business partner at the time wasn't doing things in accordance with our agreements and was sabotaging the company. So I was like, we got through all this. And then I realized we didn't. And we were on the verge of bankruptcy. And I didn't know. I hadn't been paying close enough attention. I'd been watching what I did, sell, keep things going. I wasn't looking at the bank accounts. I wasn't doing things. So it's a cautionary tale for other entrepreneurs. Keep an eye on everything. And I remember thinking, the company's going to go down. I'm going to have to fight to bring it back. How do I do that? And my first thought was, I don't know if I have the strength to do it. My second thought was, if it's going to go down, it has to go down on my terms. My mom would be beside herself knowing that this had happened. And then one day, and these things never come to me in a glamorous way, I was taking out the garbage and I was walking back into the house and I thought, this is it. This is what my life has turned out to be. This is where my company is. And I heard as clear as day, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it, Jane? And I stood there for a while. I just got goosebumps again. And I thought, I want it really bad. I've got what it takes to fight. I'm going to see what happens.
How far down the road in the business were you at this point?
I was in my 40s, so late 40s. And so
So this was your life. This was your
This was
career.
my life.
Was...
I had 2 kids that I was, supporting, had promised a lifestyle of college and flights to Europe and, sailing and all those things.
Yeah.
And it was about to collapse. And I thought, well, I got to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
I got to figure out how to do it. So I hired a business consultant and said, do a forensic look at everything. And he did. And he said, well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. He said, the good news is you were right. The bad news is it's much worse than you thought.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
And so I had to make a few decisions.
Releasing that business partner.
Yeah. So I released the business partner and then I divorced him.
Oh.
And I said, okay, now we got to build it up again. And I did. And I got together with my team and I said, do you want to do this? And I had a meeting with them and it was horrible. I said, I've got to cut all your salaries. Daphne's Headcovers is in trouble and you didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You were misguided. So I'm going to give you 48 hours. You can, if you decide to leave, I'll write you the best reference you've ever had and I'll release you with love. If you decide to stay, I'm going to ask you to go shoulder to shoulder with me and we're going to bring Daphne's back. And Jaime, nobody left. Nobody left. And we set up together to bring Daphne's Headcovers back. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, ever. We brought everybody back. We brought everything back. I was able to reimburse everybody for the salary cuts because they stood by me, and we worked our tails off for a couple years. And Daphne's is now doing 6 times. But we did it our best year. We're completely solvent. I paid every debt. I do not have a partner at all in business, sole ownership. And here we are going into our 48th year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There's another word I want to add in there. Congratulations.
Yeah.
As I drip in tears of this heart-wrenching story that is not rare of the business partner, business partner, and usually not the one who began it.
Right.
This labor of love for that person who started it. The betrayal that happens with business partners is a sad part of the entrepreneur journey sometimes.
It is, and I've heard more people with similar stories, and it's tragic, really, But again, I thought, you have to create your own life, and what life did I want? And I wasn't willing to give up that image of a life with close friends and with success and with travel and being able to help people. I realized at that point that it was innate. This is who I am, what I do. I want to be able to provide scholarships. I want my kids to go to university. I want them to have adventures. I want, when a friend says, do you want to travel? I want to say, yeah. When another friend says, can you help me? I want to say yes. I wanted those things so badly. It was worth going through that horrible, horrible period to show myself that I could and what I was made of, and set an example for my kids too.
How old are your kids?
Jack is 29 and Sarah's 23.
Are they entrepreneurial curious? Are they involved in the business?
Really exciting news. Jack has, so my agreement for both the kids is they had to finish college and work for somebody else for 5 years.
Oh my. So could it be anyone else? Could you work for a couple different people or it had to be one?
Whatever you want.
Okay, go. Yeah.
So Jack has done that and then he had the opportunity to get his master's and he finished that and then worked in the corporate world. And as of June 24th, which just happened to be luck, which is my mom's birthday, Jack will be coming aboard as the director of marketing at Daphne's Headcovers.
How fun.
Yes, which is awesome. And Sarah's finishing up her degree. She's wonderful. Not really interested in the business.
Does she golf?
She doesn't golf. She's probably the best athlete out of all of us. Not that interested in it, really wants to save the world through mental health and psychology. And
well, we need her there.
We need her. Yeah, we need her. So,
don't pull her yet, Jane.
No. So she's well and happy, and they're both doing their things. And the best thing, Jaime, is they're nice people. We're good friends. They have great sense of humor. They're good citizens on the planet. They're helping. They're doing nice things. So I'm just lucky that I have these wonderful children.
Isn't it fun to describe your children as your friends?
Yes, it is. It is. Just the things we bounce off each other. They both make me laugh. They're very funny, very witty. Sarah's very irreverent. They'll play daft pun games with me. I'm a sucker for a pun. And they can not only keep up, but surpass me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
well,
it's good.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the organizations that you're involved in, we wanted to talk about is Golf Fit Forward.
Golf It Forward.
Yeah. What is that?
So it's a wonderful organization. It was based really on Marilyn Smith, who was one of the 13 founders of the LPGA. And these women had to set up the golf course, be their own PR, play in skirts and pearls like they were all dressed up, be athletes, no pay, and then travel to the next place and do this. So these founders were remarkable. Mm-hmm. Marilyn Smith was one of the founders. She was my friend, and she lived here in Arizona. So for years, she had the Marilyn Smith Golf Foundation, because when she was in school, she played golf so well that her dad went to the coach at Kansas City and said, "Hey, do you have some money for my daughter?" And he said, "Well, I would if she was a boy." Mm. And Marilyn said, "That's never going to happen." Ouch. So she started raising money, mm-hmm. And she continued to raise money for girls' scholarships. And we lost Marilyn a few years ago. And there was a group of us that she said, "You've got to continue this." So we've come together in a charity called Golf It Forward. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do. We raise money to send girls to school for scholarships so that nobody can ever say to them, "No, you have to be male to get this scholarship." So I'm very lucky to be on the founding board, but the other board members are really, truly the dynamic ones that make things happen. And we're carrying forward Marilyn Smith's legacy and the legacy of the 13 female founders of the LPGA. Wow. Yeah.
So when you're not doing good for our world, local or in Africa and abroad, how do you spend your time? How do you spend your downtime? How do you recharge your batteries?
Well, I love to garden. So I've got a big not a big, but a vegetable garden, mm-hmm. and I'm outside. I live in a neighborhood with tons of friends, so we're very, very social. I practice yoga that keeps me sane. Mm. I travel a lot. I've been, past couple of years, spent some of it's business and building the wells and things, but I go to about 6 to 10 countries a year.
Wow.
I love to travel and go somewhere where I haven't been and try different foods.
Yeah. What do you like here in Arizona? Is there a place you like to travel to in Arizona?
Oh, I love all of Arizona. Yeah. I go to, twice a year, I go to Sedona for a hiking trip, mm-hmm. and just stay up in Oak Creek at a wonderful cabin that has horrible Wi-Fi, no dishwasher, no room service.
Oh, my.
It's great. It's so quiet. And just hike every day. Mm-hmm. Arizona is just an amazing place. Mm-hmm. I live up in Carefree, north of Scottsdale, mm-hmm. so hike there all the time. I can't wait spring hiking, starting with our wildflowers. So it's just such a great place. We're a quick flight from anywhere.
Yeah, we are.
I've got a group of girls that I call my adventure girls. We've hiked the canyon. We get up before sunrise and get on Bartlett Lake on our paddle boards, watch the sunrise, hike down the Salt River with a wild horse, or not hike, paddleboard down the Salt River and watch the wild horses. Mm. You'll never run out of things to do here.
No. And you can always golf.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I'm working on my golf game again. I finally, usually when business is good, my golf game is bad. So right now my golf game is terrible. Yeah. And I've got some great charity events to play in. So I've got that back on my schedule. Yes. I have to put it in when I take a lesson and when I practice so that I can take advantage of some of these events and just get out and play a game I love.
Jane, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and being such an inspiration to our Arizona community, to our business owners who look to you and say, I want my business to be not only 48 years in, but successful and overcoming challenges and then able to reinvest in young people. It's beautiful things that you're doing all around. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you very much for having me here today.
Thanks for listening to Jamie's Local Love, the podcast. I'm your host, Jaime Cerreta. Our technician is Tom Heidinger. Our editors are Lorraine Shearing and Gina Coy. Do you know a business worthy of some local love? Email me at jcerreta@azfamily.com. Follow us at facebook.com/Cerreta and Instagram @Cerreta News. Make sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star review, please. And tell your friends about the podcast and the businesses we feature to show your local love. You can find us on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Jamie's Local Love, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.